As rental property owners, we all want to get the most that we can for rent, but asking too much can cost you dearly. Stay tuned for 3 reasons why. Reason number 1. Vacancy loss adds up way faster than discounting rent. Here's a fact you want to remember. For every month that your rental is vacant, the income lost due to just 1 month of vacancy is equivalent to a rent discount of 8% for a full year. So what does this mean? This means that if trying to get an 8% premium on rent means that the unit sits vacant for an extra 1 month, it will take you a full year to recoup that 1 month's lost rent. If it takes you 2 months longer, then it takes you 2 years to recoup that lost rent. So if you're reaching for the stars in pricing your rental and it causes it to rent slow or not at all as a result, you need to ask yourself if trying to squeeze those last few bucks out of your rental is really worth it. For example, a friend of mine recently listed his single family rental for $2,700. But when it wasn't renting, he asked my opinion on his pricing. So I did a rental analysis and let him know that market rent was really more like $2,400, maybe $2,500 on its best day. He insisted he absolutely had to get $2,700 to make his numbers work and believed that someone might eventually come along and be willing to pay that. So the property sat vacant for over 4 months until he finally caved, reduced the price to $2,500, and then it rented within a few weeks. So in this case, his attempt to chase that last $200 in rent cost him 4 months in lost rent, which at $2,500 a month comes to 10 grand. And even if he had rented it for $2,700 after 4 months of vacancy, it would take him 50 months to make up for the lost rent he incurred during the 4 months when it went vacant. Reason number 2, you blow your opportunity of being a new rental listing. Think about renters' behavior. Many renters out there have been watching Zillow and Facebook Marketplace daily for months, waiting for the right home to pop up. Most have alerts set based on the max price they're willing to pay, so when something new pops up in their price range, everybody pounces on it all at once. To get a flurry of activity in this first week in multiple applications, you don't need to be underpriced, you just don't want to be overpriced, because once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't just reduce your price after a few weeks and expect the same activity that you would have gotten had you priced it right in the first place. When you reduce the price after the fact, even if it's new to a renter's feed, they can still see that the property has already been on the market for weeks, so something must be wrong with it. This is exactly the same phenomenon as when you're selling a house. Your best chances of finding a buyer is when the home first hits the market. This is the same as with rentals, so price it right out of the gate. And reason number 3, remember that the lowest comparables set the market, not the highest. In my property management company, when we do a rental analysis for a client, the most important factor we looked at is obviously what are other comparable properties renting for in the neighborhood. And sometimes there is a huge, stupid huge discrepancy in pricing from the high to the low. For example, suppose there's a rental where several comparable properties are renting for around $1,500 to $1,600. But there are 1 or 2 outliers that are asking $2 grand. When this happens, as a property owner, it's human nature to look at those outliers and think that's where you want to be. When in reality, he's dreaming. That price was just set by a landlord who has absolutely no idea what he's doing and is never going to rent at that price, plain and simple. Bonus tip. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the market does not care what you have to get in rent to make your numbers work. So that should have 0 bearing whatsoever on how you price your rental. Remember, in real estate, you make your money when you buy the property, period. End of story. The market is the market, and if your numbers don't work at the market rates, let's face it, that's because you bought it wrong. And overpricing it is gonna make things worse, not better. So price your rentals at market rate, even a hair under. They'll rent fast and you'll have a ton of applications to pick a great tenant. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.